important reason to tune a guitar is because it doesn't matter if you have the nicest guitar in the world, the best intentions, you can be the most talented guitar player ever. But if your guitar's not in tune, everything you play is going to sound terrible. For instance, you play a guitar chord right now and everything's all messed up and it's not going to sound right. So when I first started playing guitar, I was 12 years old, and my dad had this classical guitar that sat in the corner of our house. And I remember picking it up and learning how to play a few things, even on a single string. And I remember it getting out of tune. And when that would happen, I would just pick up my guitar and hand it to my dad because I had no idea how to do it. If you don't have that top string in tune, if it's not in the right tune, so it doesn't matter how many other strings you tune, and you tune to that, if anybody else starts playing with you, it's not going to be correct. So you always want to make sure that your top string, if you're going to tune your guitar to itself, that your top string is tuned to the right note, and that's going to be an E. You tune a guitar, you can tune it to itself. So you start with the top string, and you'll get that basically in tune, and then you fret it here, and you tune the next string to that one, and so on, and you just kind of go down the guitar that way.
I want to wish you an early Merry Christmas, and I wanted to take this opportunity to share a devotional thought from something I shared in staff meeting recently. It was my turn to share to the devotional. We were having a Zoom meeting. Most of us are working from home at this point, and so I shared this devotional thought, and it's just kind of grown in my heart as the week has gone on. So I wanted to take a moment to give you something in the middle of the week to chew on, to encourage you, to challenge you, to rise up in this season and really be the church, because it is a season for us as God's people to be salt and light, maybe in ways that we haven't even needed to be in recent history. And what I shared in the staff meeting was a phrase from one of my favorite hymns, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing." It's an old hymn. And when I say old hymn, I mean it was written in 1758 by an 18th century pastor and hymn writer by the name of Robert Robinson, who penned the words to this hymn that we still sing today when he was only 22 years old. And so I want to read a little portion of that and just kind of remind you of the lyrics there. It says this: "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, tune my heart to sing Thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise." And then in verse 2, I love this phrase, "Jesus sought me when a stranger." Boy, this is something Jesus does, right? He goes after us even when we're strangers to Him. "He sought me when a stranger wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger interposed His precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let Thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to Thee." And I like this line. It always speaks to me. "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. But here's my heart. Take and seal it. Seal it for Thy courts above." So the history of the church runs deep. I mean, we're singing hymns still today, written all the way back in 1758. But the truth of the matter is, if we're paying attention, we are still writing the history of the church today in our contemporary world. We are responsible to write the next chapter for our church, for our community, for the kingdom of God, to just by how we live and what we're able to capture, how we're able to love people and share with them. The phrase in that song that caught my attention that I shared with the staff was this phrase, "Tune my heart. Tune my heart to sing Thy grace." There are two kinds of tuning. One of them is when you tune a radio. You're going down the dial, you're tuning the radio. It used to we had to do this manually all the time. It wasn't automatic. But you tune the radio to get it on the right frequency of the radio station you're looking for, in order that you can receive the signal that's being sent by the radio station, so you can listen, to the right type of music. So that's the type of tuning that allows you to receive a signal. The second kind of tuning is when you tune an instrument like a guitar. So I appreciate Wiley coming and sharing what he shared today about that, because I want that image in our mind. So when you tune a guitar, you increase and decrease the tension on the strings to get it to the right pitch, so that when you strike the chord, your instrument projects the right sound. It's on pitch, it's on key. So one type of tuning is so that you can receive a signal, the right frequency on a radio. The other kind of tuning is so that you can send out the right sound. Now, this idea of tuning is a biblical concept for sure. Psalm 125 verse 4 says this, "O Lord, do good to those who are good, whose hearts are in tune with you." Proverbs 2:2, "Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding." So, in this season, what I want to encourage us to be thinking about is that I think we should be praying as God's people for God to tune our hearts so that we can pick up the right signal. We pick it up clearly. We're in the right frequency. We are receiving and hearing what God is currently saying in the world and in the church today. And if we can hear the right signal, pick it up, then we have the ability, like a guitar being tuned, to make the right sound and send the right sound out. People are always in need of those who know how to pick up on the signal and know how to then transmit the signal and get the right sound. People are always in need of that. There's a spiritual principle at work here, and it's simply this. Until you learn to hear correctly, you won't speak correctly. Until you learn to hear correctly, you will not be able to speak correctly. How many times did Jesus say when He taught? He would do a teaching, and at the end He would say this, "And you who have ears to hear, let him hear. He who has ears to hear, let him hear." So spiritual talk, to be able to communicate grace, communicate life, communicate the love of God, bring good news to people, doesn't begin with speaking, it begins with hearing. Now, I want to mention this because I think we all need to get it. And here's why I think this is important for me to share this midweek this week is this. I think negative information in our daily lives in the United States today and perhaps in the world is at an all-time high. In my generation, for sure, it's at an all-time high. And I think people are in desperate need of really hearing something that sounds different, something that has love and grace and joy and good news in it. People do not need us to simply be tuning into the frequency of the negativity that's in the air and going around and projecting that now and playing that on our instruments, so to speak. I hope you hear this. So I think this is a golden opportunity as the church, as the people of God, to separate ourselves by making a different sound, by what we're able to say because we've learned to tune in and really hear what God is saying at the time. The sentiment's been on my mind for a while. It's kind of like this. Lord, I've heard what the media says. Lord, I've heard what other people are saying. God, I've heard what is the common thought that is out there now in the midst of this crisis that we're dealing with. Lord, I've heard what everybody else has to say. But God, I'm asking you to speak to my heart. I need to hear what you have to say. I want to know what's on your mind and in your heart. Because God, if I don't hear that, I'm going to be in trouble. This is where we need to be. I think it's kind of like saying, God, I need to hear a new song. I need to hear a new tune. Play me something that's a different note that will separate me from the noise and the rumble of rumors and all the things that are going on. Oh God, speak to my heart. Tune my heart to sing thy grace. So God be with us in this season. May we be a people who learn how to tune our ears and tune our hearts to hear the fresh current word of the Lord so that we may speak with a mind and a heart that's seasoned with grace, the current word of the Lord, and that which would really cheer people up and let them know that even in the midst of all of this, God still loves, God still speaks, and God is still with us. So blessings to all. Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening to this devotional thought. Have a great week.